We're now live on all platforms for my recommendations. um, Sometimes one-on-one sessions, we cover the whole thing, but sometimes out of privacy for certain students and their family, um, I give recommendation towards the end, which is pretty sometimes specific, usually broad in general. I wanted to give thanks um, to student Caesar who opened up his house to me, and I described it as like a five-star hotel. Got to eat at the city of Soang, and that was the best salmon I ever ate in my entire 37 years of life. I don't know where they catch them salmons, but that salmon last night reached Mahaparinibbana in my tummy. It took instant, instant nirvana. I had a very restful rest and headed to San Francisco here afterwards. After talking with student Caesar, it is well founded that you're very intelligent, reflective, and deep. So my recommendation for you and proceeding on forward is that it's hard when you're here at home, for any of us to be at home and to try to correct our thinking and correct ourselves, our habits, just because we're so comfy in this place. But one has to motivate oneself. So in order to motivate oneself is that you decide whether or not, because you're eligible to be an auxiliary venerable. No different than Joselito right now, who is my assistant and is auxiliary, and Leo, who is auxiliary. What does that mean, auxiliary? So no different than an auxiliary bishop in the Catholic world. Which is kind of like, the word auxiliary is as needed basis. So under my program, auxiliary venerables, they are under probationary status. That means I known them before, then they took a break, and then they came back. And as a result of coming back, I need to be able to observe them through a length of time. And during that observation stage, they are to do the work and readings and fix their habits of whatever it is that needs to be done. Habits in regards to work, home, school, balance, exercise, sleep. Those are general. Everyone knows that. And then when I feel like the auxiliary venerable is ready for going forth into ordination under Buddhism, then that's when. So there's layers and steps. Right now it's under my program. So you're a venerable under my program, not a venerable under Buddhism. That's because I have to justify why I do what I do and how did I ordain this person to be an actual venerable in the Buddhist world, given the rights authority to wear this uniform. So I have to justify that to the senior teachers. But that's why everything here before starting this live, all the questions were so detailed, because I have to conduct a thorough interview to get a whole global picture of this student. This is their world. This is how they think. This is where they've been. This is where they're at and where they want to go, and how I can help them moving forward. What happened with that last job too, by the way?
I quit.
Yeah, probably not compatible with people there, huh?
Well, it was mainly with physical health conditions. Just stuff that was going on in those weeks.
What kind of job was it?
Caregiving.
Okay. All right. So climbing on board with another job would probably be the next best thing to do.
Yes.
Because it challenges a person with patience and tolerance. So when you go back to the book Cognitive Behavioral Therapy, it teaches about high frustration tolerance and low frustration tolerance, right? And when we're out there in the working world, there's gonna be people pushing your buttons, dealing with managers, dealing with humans. We're around humans, so no matter how much we hate humans, we're gonna need them to survive. And so it is imperative that we go out there and I've worked since I was 14, and I'm still working now. I'm still working now. That's a long time of working. That's 14 to now. That's 23 years of working in order to support my own path. Programs like this is free because I support my own path. I support my own programs. The donors are very few. Very few. So when you see me not lazy, any student should ask themselves, then what gives me the right to be lazy? The right to be lazy. Big difference. Remember that we live in America where everyone feels privileged and I have the right. A lot of I statements. That doesn't do well in Buddhism. That self-centered talk doesn't do well in Buddhism. Does not do well for the Western student practicing Buddhism. Yeah. You know what I mean? I have the right to do this, I have the right to do that. Well, if you were to meet me in Thailand or in Laos, I tell students, you don't have Jack. You may have Tom, but you don't have Jack. You have absolutely nothing. You have what we tell you you could and should have. That's it, period, end of story. So a lot of entitlements here in the United States that corrupts the mind, infiltrates, corrupts the mind of the young, and it just delays a lot of time. Precious time. Time that we don't have in humanity because of the technological advances. And ever since the smartphones came out, we started seeing children depressed, anxious, relationship issues, suicidal. Just compounds everything. More self-centered, more narcissism. Nothing good when our world starts to become more narcissistic.
Yeah. Neurosis.
Mm-hmm. Neurosis just means stupid. But narcissism is very, very... Narcissism is, narcissism is, I love myself too long and I love myself too deep. They're just all about themselves. Reality is about this far from this is all they see is me, my, and I. Yeah. The narcissism going forward, untreated and unaddressed, it's not healthy. It's not healthy.
Of course.
It turns into pathological, and it turns into other very serious forms of mental illness. It affects interpersonal relationships deeply on a very toxic level. Very toxic level. So toxic it leads to control and stalking and all these things that lead to restraining orders and really weird. Mental health, when you study abnormal psychology, we got like the beginning stage, and then we got the middle stage, and then we got the really deep stage, which is like, I don't think this person can be cured anymore. Those people end up in prison.
Mm-hmm.
Or castrated, or chemically castrated nowadays, sex offenders and stuff like that. The Buddha taught dangers in the smallest mistakes, and it is in the smallest mistakes that we have to identify within ourselves. Buddhism is about you policing you without the presence of a teacher constant. These are some things I want you to think about real deep, real long, about where we're at this stage of one's life and how to proceed on forward, just because everyone's running out of time. And one of the biggest regret, if we have living parents, is that what if I didn't get a chance to make my parents proud before they died? Xin chào sư cô Hạnh. What if I didn't get a chance to do things? And just so many things to do that needs to be accomplished, doing what needs to be done. Study what needs to be studied, and practice what needs to be practiced, is what the Buddha said. And when you don't do that, you start to look back and you're like, wow, what could I have done? You know, when I take these drives in California this long, 4 or 5 hours, I ask myself, do you have any regrets, Chidao? And I said, no, not really. I made mistakes. I corrected those mistakes. I went and got an education. Now I'm teaching people how to live. And I made as much amends as I could and forgiven myself. One thing Christ taught that would take a whole lifetime to practice is never tired of forgiving and never tired of asking for forgiveness. That is so beautiful. Never tired of forgiving, never tired of asking for forgiveness. You know, last night I bought a cross over at Sylvain. It's one of the most beautiful crosses I ever seen in my entire life. And do you know why a Buddhist monk decided to buy a cross to wear? To remind me of Christ's teaching. And you know, a lot of students, I get a lot of messages a day, and one of those messages is, you're doing God's work. And it took me a while to figure. I was like, well, yeah, I'll take that. I am. Even when money and donations come in, I have a gal right now that donates so much that I have to tell her to stop to protect her assets. That's how holy I am. You believe that? A holy man telling someone to stop. So you were former Christian or is still Christian or whatever it is that's written in the Bible, whatever they preach. I don't really care what they preach. I don't really care what's written in the Bible. I also don't really care what's written in the Buddhist text, because man wrote it. What man writes is subject to flaw. Supreme flaw. You know what I mean? Tom, Dick, and Harry wrote it. You know what I mean? So people literally take one paragraph out of the Bible, or any Bibles for all that matter, in fact, and then they like attach onto it and obsess over it. And it's like, okay, Tom, let me tell you something, Jack. You didn't go to School of Divinity. You did not graduate School of Divinity. You are not a doctor of divinity. You want to sit here and preach about the Bible to me. You know, I've been studying and practicing for a very long time, 2 decades. That's a very long time. Now having control over a body of knowledge to dispense the truth. And that's the truth. I can care less about what any book says. I live my life the way I live my life, and helping people and doing everybody's job and everybody's work. So one day, you know, every December, I drag myself in front of the Nativity where Jesus is hanging out in his basket, and I preach and I go, you know, one day when we die, we're going to have to face the jury of gods. Face the jury of gods. That means all of them. Shiva, Vishnu, Allah, Christ, Buddha, or the many other Buddhas, just hanging out there, and they're just like, all right, well, who's next? Oh, we got Tom? All right, let's deal with Tom. Tom, what have you done while you were alive 100 years on planet Earth? Well, your answer better not be, I haven't done jack. Yeah. Imagine Tom saying, I smoked a lot of weed. I ate, poop, and slept. Eat, poop, slept, did nothing to contribute to society, to our community, to my family. Nothing. It was all about me. I think all the gods would probably hit that button and he slides right down to hell. Nor do I actually care about hell. Nor do I actually care about heaven. Nor do I care about rebirth. What is important of clinical concern in this lifetime is that we live a good life so we can have a good death. A good life, a good death. A meaningful life, a purposeful life equals a good death. And did you forget something I said yesterday to Sanata Vihari about that I could die in that moment of talking to him and still be happy?
Yes.
And there's this new song that my student just sent me yesterday. And I'm too bad you're using the phone, but it's titled "I Can Die with a Smile." It's a song, and I'm like, what? What a great timing for this type of thing that they sent. So I listened to it for research basis. Cannot engage into entertainment, but just imagine that I can die smiling. And you know how many times I've been able to say that for myself? That's a good thing when anyone can say that, because they've done the work. They've done what needs to be done. So my point is that you've done a lot of comparative studies across religions. You've done shamans. There's so many stuff out there, and there is so many stuff that is BS out there. Do you know what gives us the right to say that? Do you know what gives me the right to say that the other stuff out there is BS?
Evidence?
Because we are the elders of all elders in the entire world.
Yes.
Right. So we are the fathers of everybody else's fathers. You get what I'm saying? We are the school of the elders, the Theravadins. We are the oldest out of all the ding-dongs out there. So when they say try this, try that, and you're going to achieve a third eye with this and consciousness that and stuff like that, it doesn't fly with us. We're the truth. We're the one that tells you what needs to be done so that you can resolve your suffering. This is the problem. The problem is, out of all the things that you've tried out there, you have to ask yourself, did it resolve your suffering and quickly?
No.
That's right.
None.
That's right. So now you see that we are right.
Yeah.
We don't have to say we ourselves are God or we ourselves are Buddhas. The crux of the question is, what they taught, did they teach suffering, and did they teach the end of suffering? And quickly. Right? Or they want you to smoke this and get a third eye. Or did they want you to practice this so that your consciousness was like, they don't even know what consciousness means. They don't even know what the third eye means. You know what I'm saying? Very confusing for the young student like you. Very confusing. Very confusing. Therefore, let me remove this person. I don't remember asking for your comment. See ya. I think it's important for someone like you to just understand the true nature of life and the true nature of the games that people play in life and the true nature of the religious games that people play in life that waste your time, energy, and money. So it's important for you to rule out whatever the hell is going on with the comparative studies. And if you want to resolve your suffering and quickly, then focus on Theravada Buddhism, because we address the suffering and we address how to resolve your suffering quickly by through the noble truths and the cognitive behavioral therapy. Now you realize that if I'm wrong, people would tell me I'm wrong on here. They would just say he's full of it. Cognitive behavioral therapy doesn't exist. It doesn't work. It's not effective. He made it up. Everything he has said over the past 10 years, he made it up. Right? So, therefore, I want you to reflect what I'm telling you is world-class advice. World-class. World-class. That you return back quickly to cognitive behavioral therapy, just like the rest of the other students that are now going back to it. It's so funny. I tell them, Listen, and years later they come back and one has to wonder why they came back. And once they came back and I'm like, did you ever finish CBT? Oh, they come back with all sorts of thorns underneath their foot. Thorns. Big thorns, which is breakups. Thorns, more addiction. Thorns, more trauma. And I asked them, did you finish CBT when I gave that to you years ago? No. Well, look at all that suffering you went through unnecessarily. That's a damning statement. Unnecessarily. Right? Unnecessary suffering. You literally walk through thorns. Imagine walking through thorns when you shouldn't have to walk through thorns. You know, so in my head I'm like, damn. Well, I'm glad that wasn't me. And likewise, at age 22, when I finished the same book that I sent you guys on email, I became academically enlightened. I still had a lot of trouble, still dealing with a lot of things, but academically, cognitively, very enlightened with the fact that blowing things out of proportion, jumping to conclusions without evidence, two of the primal things that we do as humans. Jumping to conclusions without evidence, blowing things out of proportion, that's what fuels anxiety. You see the effects of anxiety and how detrimental it affects your sleep, affects your health. Detrimental. Truth be told, had it not been for your dad allowing me to stay here, I would probably passed out in the car. Because I realized in one of my live stream yesterday, my face started to look really tired. And I was pushing myself now over 70-80% of my energy. And I'm like, I'm so glad Caesar's around the corner and it's not far away. Because, you know, the sun will hit it just right where you can see lines within the eyes or just fatigue in the face. And I was like, okay, you need to rest soon. I'm 37 and I don't abuse drug, alcohol. From the time that I drank was from 19 years of age and 22 years of age, and I quit with friends and stuff like that. And I've never blacked out. So this is a man that's kept his body quite pure. And now at age 37, I'm feeling fatigue and with everyday functioning as a monk. But you see the detrimental effects that other people do to themselves. Lack of sleep, not eating right. I mean, just wait till you get to my age. How do you think you would feel? If I took care of my body this well, and yet still feeling the effects of the aging process, what makes you think you exempt? You know what I mean? And I'm active too on the weekends. You know, I go out and I play paintball and stuff like that. Did you know that? You do now. I'm active. I mean, I get out there, get my cardio, sweat, so I can serve the people. Yeah.
I don't know about paintball, but
Oh, yeah.
you do gym and stuff.
Yeah. Paintball, airsoft. I mean, most of my students are males. What do you?
Airsoft.
Yeah.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I was appointed head of.
It is fun.
I was appointed head of security back in the day.
Yes.
You know, so what do you think most of the male students I have, what am I going to do? Give them Barbie dolls to play with? So, of course,
right.
very action-oriented, rock climbing, paintball, airsoft, flag football.
That's really cool.
That's sport. The Buddha was well-versed in archery.
Yes.
So, you know, we have senior monks that also practice archery because it's conducive for mindfulness, concentration in the present moment. That's their enlightenment. It's archery. Sounds kind of weird and like, well, those are weapons. Why are you guys touching weapons? No. Wait till you practice a little longer, you'll understand. It's not about weapons, it's about concentration. And I do it because of brain health. The sports that I engage in is for brain health. So the point of the matter is about taking care of one's body and mind. Get what I'm saying? Body and mind. the emphasis on that, the clinical health benefits and emphasis on that. So I hope that maybe you should visit hospitals, hospice, and cemeteries around here. Go there. Go to the cemetery. Been to the cemetery before? You like it?
The one here?
Yeah.
Not in person.
Not
Not
in-
physically, no.
Right. And that's
I've
the
been.
and that's the problem when you don't go to a cemetery. And this is a problem that humans don't go to cemeteries. They're never reminded of death. They're never reminded that that's going to be me one day. When you go to cemetery, it's very sobering. Every time when a person drinks or smoke or gamble or don't sleep well or don't eat well, take yourself to the cemetery. Yesterday, you heard me spoke about replicating the 4 sites the Buddha saw.
Yes.
Death is one of them.
Yes.
Well, what's the closest thing we have to death? Funeral homes, cemetery.
Yeah, I saw my grandfather in the coffin in February.
Mm.
And then.
But that didn't wake you up. That's why we're still here today.
No, yeah, that's true.
You get what I'm saying?
Of course.
You know, part of my program is also bringing a coffin into a monastery and have people lay in it.
Whoa.
Yeah. Imagine that. Just imagine that. Because I did. I laid in one. I already have funeral pictures in case I die. In case I die a horrific death, let's say the car goes off the cliff in California, I have pictures of me beautiful, sleeping in a really nice casket already to be published. Did you know that? I gave a talk inside of the casket, and the funeral home director of 40 years of experience, he says, everything you say in that casket is true and correct. The way how you live determines the way how you die. But I've done the work. That's why I'm here qualified to give the teachings. Get what I'm saying? That's what people, when people go to funeral homes and people look like they're sleeping, and it's not real death. The discoloration, the makeup, it's not real death. It just seems like, oh great, and then they cry to go home and then go back to smoking crack, cocaine, so on.
No, of course. It's not like seeing someone actually like pass, right?
Mm-hmm. So therefore, take yourself to the cemetery, and I want you to just wander around the cemetery and just look at people's names, they were born, date that they died, and just see the length of time that they had, and you just wonder in your head, what did these people do? I don't remember asking. You're also going to be removed. Somebody wanted to preach to me about the Quran on there. So it's very sobering, I find, even for me. And I started out death meditation when I was 13 years old, and now when I go to cemeteries, it's still very sobering to wonder how these people live their life and how you want people to read the obituary of you. And read the obituary often. Nowadays, we don't have real newspapers anymore, like back in the day. Back in the day, I was a jeweler selling diamonds, and I used to open the obituaries and study them. I always get a kick out of obituaries that's like this long, and it talks about them being a former veteran, decorated teacher, went to school, master's degree, help homeless people, dying children, cancer, whatever. I'm like, what a life well lived, I said to myself. This is the only way that's going to shake you up without me being here, is studying death, the experience of death, the reminder of death. Because then when you come back home, you realize that I need to practice what needs to be practiced, do what needs to be done, and study what needs to be studied. And when you study things that are not conducive for your suffering, then you realize that I'm just sitting here wasting my time of what Tom, Dick, and Harry wrote. Tom, Dick, and Harry wrote this book, not Jesus Christ, not the one and only historical Gautama Buddha, not Shiva, not Vishnu, did not sit there and write this themselves. Tom wrote this, and I'm going to believe what Tom wrote and waste my life looking at this. I take what is only necessary to teach. That's it, and I run with it. That's it. I don't need to master all 84,000 teachings. You get what I'm saying? I don't need to master some of these things or some of these monks that you see out there. I just don't. It's not necessary. We can't even get past certain basic things. If we can't even get past CBT, we can't get past anything else. No different than the Noble Eightfold Path. If you can't get past right view, everything else behind it really doesn't matter. If you don't have right view, which is basically the Four Noble Truths, through the informed lens, you and I wear glasses, through the informed lens of the Four Noble Truths, if you don't have right view, forget it. Just throw the whole damn glass away. Walk blindly into life, blinded, cloudy, muddy. Okay. So going back into work, visiting the cemetery, cognitive behavioral therapy. Check in with me at least once a week. So that I can figure out if you're going back to those books, and if you're going back to those books, well, tell me what you get out of it. It's not my job today to stop you from studying what you're studying, but just make sure that it's going through the informed lens of your eyes, that what I'm studying has to be conducive to the end of my suffering, to the end of one's depression, anxiety, overthinking, just all the things that we have identified consistent with what every other humans are going through. Because if you're reading about how, Jack met Rose on, the Titanic and off they sank, what did you learn from that? You know what I mean? Or anything else of that matter or in storyline, it needs to, when I'm reading something and I have to be like, what is this telling me and how can I use it in my life right now, not tomorrow, right now, okay? I just want you to be more aware of that, okay? Because we're here today because whatever comparative studies that you have gone through, you haven't found the answer yet. When in fact, I can give a student one sheet of paper that describes the Four Noble Truths, can be fit in one sheet to any human out there that is smart, or at least, the ability to read, understand, comprehensive, a prudent man, that they can read one page and they can be instantly enlightened. They could actually read the page and become an arahant. So that's why I scratch my head with the things that they teach in school. I went 4 years of college at Edgar College, so I know how this is a world-renowned college. You can't get any better than Edgar College. People from California fly over to Florida for Edgar College. Mm-hmm. And then likewise, Edgar College people also fly over here for all of the elite Berkeley, UC, UCLA, all that good stuff. But the purpose of today is to wake you back up again. Don't self-doubt anymore. I don't doubt you. I'm traveling nonstop and I'm stopping myself here to tell you I don't doubt you. To tell you that I believe in you. You think I waste my time with dumb students? I don't. I don't. I really don't. And as I get older, I really don't. And Ajahn Mun, so there's 30 plus arahants under Ajahn Mun. And when you've looked for Ajahn Mun in the forest and you were dumb, he told you to go find another teacher, get out. He chased people away from the forest. Go, get out, go find another teacher. As I get older, I become like Ajahn Mun, grumpy and high standards. And so the first thing I need to rule out is whether a student understands me, understands where I'm coming from, understand my method and mode of teaching, and that I have reason to believe that they can stay straight on the path. And that you did last night. That's why you were given that last homework before I slept. I said, look at what me and Sanatana Vihari said. Because if you had objections, you would have addressed it earlier with what me and him said, right? Do you have any objections now?
No.
Right. And if he had objections, he could told me, because he's a monk of, I think, 7 or 8 years, and I'm a monk of 10 years. So the point of having him there was for checks and balances. You get what I'm saying? Okay. Yeah, I don't want to go deeper into any other practices when it comes to meditation. The utilization of meditation is the one-pointed concentration technique, which I addressed with Sanata Vihari, and also on my link tree. On my link tree, there's the how to meditate, and you just follow that while you're studying. And if you have any questions and doubts, then you call me directly on my phone. You don't say, oh no, I'm lazy today, I don't want to do it, I don't want to do it. You're just making up excuses and stuff like that. The lawyer in your head, you have to know when to dismiss him. If he's not serving you well, you have to fire him and dismiss him. Okay, the identification of the lawyer in one's head. The voice in your head that tells you stuff, that always misguides you, yeah, that's Mara. That's a little devil in the head. That's what keeps students from becoming enlightened. And therefore you have to really understand, oh, there's that voice in my head that wants me to eat. That's that voice in my head that wants me to eat when I'm bored, that wants me to smoke weed, that wants me to smoke crack, cocaine, use drugs, go find sex on the streets, go gambling. That's the lawyer. The lawyer says, don't believe Jidao. Jidao is wasting your time. The practice is wasting your time. Go out and do what's fun. Go out and try to get into the coffin a little quicker than everybody else. That's what the lawyer wants you to do. The mind's always seeking for pleasure. There's a big difference between pleasure and contentment and happiness. Big difference. So happiness is serotonin. Pleasure, dopamine. When you study neurobiology, you understand a big difference and why we are prone to just jump into things that creates more dopamine. Yeah. So part of being a monk, which is what you aspire to do, is you have to really understand the complete understanding of the mind. You wrote that into your notes, and thus I wrote it into my notes. The complete understanding of the mind. The complete understanding of the mind is not studying what it is that you're studying. You get what I'm saying? What you're studying, maybe you should join the UN or interfaith groups and stuff like that. Complete understanding of the mind is studying Buddhism. We were the first to alert people about the mind. Science is now catching up to what the Buddha says 2,567 years ago. So all of this sounds like you can't hear me because you don't what? People can understand me on Instagram, say yes. Who can understand me on Instagram, say yes. Because it may be your phone and not everyone else's phones. All of this sounds like I'm pounding my chest and putting Buddhism to the foremost and front as superior. But I leave that to you, since you're doing comparative studies, to see if Buddhism is in fact superior. Because the claim I made and Jayasaro made was, Buddhism is the most effective and comprehensive educational system the world has ever seen. That was first uttered by Jayasaro before I used that same statement to the entire world. And so that's what we said as senior teachers. Go ahead, prove us wrong. That's your job. That's everybody's job, actually. Prove us wrong. So because you wrote that, I want you to really put that somewhere, put a lot of notes around the house. You decorate this whole house with notes and reminders. The complete understanding of the mind will lead you to the complete ending of your suffering. You can't put an end to cancer if you don't understand how cancer works. By understanding comprehensively how cancer works, you can probably get close to a cure, if not cure itself. of cancer. We have cancers of the mind. The Buddha found the cure to the cancer of the mind: greed, anger, ignorance. Okay. So I don't want to expand too much on Buddhism right now. Right now, just keep it simple. Just keep it the way that it is. You have the cognitive behavioral therapy to stay on top of taking notes, reporting back to me what you got to understand that. So we're going to start back from scratch. And I will let you decide whether or not you want to fall under the Auxiliary Venerable program, which emphasizes discipline, will emphasize keeping the precept as much as you can. I didn't say you have to keep it 100%. I said you keep it as much as you can. There will be times and there will be days, there will be good days, and there will be bad days. I understand those days. And when in doubt, you call. This other guy in Mexico, I don't know who he is. But I'm guarded when I hear stories like that. I'm guarded when I hear people, right? Because I'm trained in a scientific way of measurement. Whether a person actually went to school, whether a person says that they have supernatural powers, whether they have titles of nobility, whether they teach to the public, whether they withhold teaching to the public. I just don't know. And I have my skeptics about it. And so should you. But you followed this man, but he didn't resolve your suffering. People follow the Buddha because the Buddha resolved their suffering instantaneously in one setting. One setting. Like this, one setting. That's it. Can you imagine if the Buddha was like that man that you described? We're not going to mention for privacy, but then if we had 500 of you that still continue their path and route and habits. He obviously doesn't have a very good business model. Right? I'm just saying so. That's all I'm saying, right? What I say needs to be true and correct, and it needs to make sense about what's happening here. Oh God, that's messy. You know what I mean? So my method also needs to make sense. My method needs to describe suffering, the end of it, and fairly quickly. Or else I'm not doing my job. Or I'm not doing my job right. Okay. So you have any questions for me? Any clarifications, questions so far what I've said? And you're free to speak freely.
Yeah.
And express freely.
Yeah. My question, you said, so I guess I'm curious about like from now, like joining the being in the Auxiliary Venerable program. You mentioned to me yesterday about your program. You said about.
All right. So the auxiliary program is you will earn the title of venerable. That means you are worthy of veneration. If I announce to the world that you are venerable, then the whole entire world will respect you. You have the authority to teach. When I give you that authority to teach the Four Noble Truths, when you have demonstrated that you have a comprehensive and effective understanding of the Four Noble Truths. Also, you are good in public speaking. You have identified that. And how would you carry yourself as a venerable? I mean, I'm a venerable. Do you think I run out to strip clubs at night and conduct myself unworthy of veneration, unworthy of respect? Right. Yesterday, you paid respect to me right outside your door. And if I conduct myself in a manner that no one sees, that no one knows about, and still take the respect of the people, that is really bad karma. Bad karma. What kind of a bad karma? It can pop my tire while I'm on the mountains, and my car flips, maybe a couple thousand feet, because it seems like a couple thousand feet to me. And then the car bursts in flame, and then I get cremated. I get a free cremation in the car. That's what bad karma is. That's what happens when you wear this robe and you don't live life right and you don't keep precepts. Because karma never forgets an address. Never forget an address. The one thing that the Buddha was not wrong about was the workings of karma. And I observed that very clearly. Very precisely, very clearly. That's why I still continue to do what I do. That's why I'm still here, to cultivate good deeds. I teach for free. I don't charge money. To cultivate good deeds so that my tire don't pop in the next 5 hours going to San Francisco. You see that? Or have a heart attack in the next 30 seconds. At age 37, that's a possibility. I think heart attack is possible after age 31. So, and nothing good happens to men after 40. After 40, you go downhill with prostate and everything else, hormones. The recent research talks about age 40 and age 60. So when your body has dramatic changes. That is the stages. That's when men says, That's when we don't have time. You know what I tell myself? I might die at 40. So I got like 3 more years left to affect change in the world. Pretty high standards. I don't say I can live till 80. Well, with that, I might as well just kick back and watch Netflix with you. Or Amazon Prime, right? You know what I mean? You see, I ordained around like 28. And before, at age 34, garnering, whatever, who cares about my accomplishments or affecting change, okay? Yeah, just the emphasis on time is very important. So you're a venerable under the program. And so you're basically going through the pre-boot camp before you become a monk.
Yes.
Because a venerable doesn't mean a monk doesn't mean a venerable.
Okay, yes.
A venerable is a person that's worthy of respect. They're worthy of respect because they came back to the program and they're going to keep the precepts. They're going to behave like a monk. That's what makes them worthy of respect. Okay?
Yes.
And a monk that doesn't behave the right way is not worthy of veneration. So he's just a monk. He's not a venerable. Or in the eyes of us adjudicating him that he's not worthy of respect. We got plenty of those. No different than any other religious realms. Get what I'm saying? So these are layers of security that I put in through the many years of ordaining so many people and seeing their behaviors, up, down, ins and outs. And for the ones that I do publish online, are the ones that are well behaved and is in accordance of bright future, early praise and promise. Hopefully you become one of them. Early praise and promise. Your gift of public speaking is very important. You see Hitler mastered the art of public speaking, yeah? You would agree. How did he amass millions of people to listen to him? Public speaking. He did it the wrong way, but he still mastered the art of public speaking. Okay, well, don't be like Hitler. Be like JFK, be like MLK, be like Gandhi, be like, Mother Teresa. Use your public speaking for the right reason, for the people, for the benefits of all. That's what the Buddha wanted. So you have a gift. The world's yet to discover your gift. So therefore, when you are at that stage that I feel that you are mature enough to hold my microphone to publish to the entire world, then you do what needs to be done and preach the Four Noble Truths so that millions of people can liberate and be inspired by your story, be liberated by the understanding of the Four Noble Truths through the way that you see it with what happened in your life. It's just like me. Everyone has a particular individual story, and through the informed lens, they explain it. This is how I suffered, and this is how I ended my suffering. And the method worked. and it works for me, it can work for you. It's simple. Buddhism is so simple. You see how you can change the world. Right. Without this, programs like this is aimed for intelligent students like you, so that you realize that a door just opened for me to become great. You have a chance to become great, and you have a chance to become a legend. Because look at how many kids, Gen Zoomers like you, do crack cocaine, gambling, sex, in prison, running away from cops, giving CHP a very hard time, giving LAPD a very hard time right here in California. They'll never have a chance to be in this program. They'll never have a chance to be great. Very slim, very rare. So programs like this opens the door for someone like you to work, to generate money, to contribute back to the program, for other people to be ordained. You see how that works. It's about serving other people. The moment we start thinking about ourselves, our needs, our wants, we cause suffering to ourselves. But when we think about other people, our suffering is mitigated. It gives rise to meaning and purpose in our lives. Yeah. Any other questions you have? Doubts, skepticisms, concerns?
I think that's okay for now. Yeah.
You'll have more questions down the road, and just compile the questions.
Of course.
It's just, everything here is very straight to the point. Very straight to the point. And this is an act of me trying to save you. Because if this doesn't take place, I don't think anything good is going to happen thereafter. Or good as in productivity, longevity, contentment, inner peace, liberation, joy, happiness. I think I want all of that for you. And I think Papa wants that for you. The entire world wants that for you. They want you to grow and flourish, and make me look good.
Yes, sir.
Can you imagine like 500 students come to me and like 400 drop out? That means whatever method I'm deploying is not working out. It needs to be at least, like 350 students and above graduating out of 500. Then people are like, okay, well, all right. Well, I mean, it's Gen Z, we understand, but you used to have a very high success rate with these students. You know what I mean? So therefore, this is how you know I believe in you, because it's recorded live. That means the entire world is watching and waiting for you to flourish like a wildflower, They understand that you're still a baby, and they understand that you're still growing and developing, and through a qualified, authentic, and experienced teacher. Real teacher that teaches the right way. Now you like a lotus flower just coming up and just boom. That's when the world's like, whoa. I guarantee you, out of the millions of my followers, you're gonna inspire at least a couple hundred in there that's going through the same thing. That is you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That is your generation of your age, likewise, and so on. So just changing one life was well worth it. And here you have a chance to inspire millions and hundreds and hundreds to the possible of millions. And creating your own channel, and you know what I mean? And just spread the message. Because if you're studying world religion, you want to be a religious man, that's what we do. Very important, our role and responsibility in society, because, well, what if we don't exist? Then they better hire more cops. Because if we don't give the precepts or the commandments, guess what? They're going to kill more, steal more, lie more, rape more, get drunk more. And nothing good happens when they get drunk more. And nothing good happens when they get high more. So the precepts and the educational aspect, the clinical aspect of the 10 commandments and the 10 precepts in Buddhism is to like, hey, you might want to think about water, Because that other stuff can get you in jail. And thank God for law, right? What happens if we don't have any laws? So we need someone like you to never tired of teaching. You know what the Catholic Church says?
Mm.
Teach and teach and teach. That's how they train their priest. Everyone's anxiously waiting to hear the words of God, and that's these young preachers and priests. Just teach. Part of their training, and that's what you're good at public speaking. Then you just hone in on that with true faith and convictions, and that you have tried out the teachings. It worked for you. Resolve your own problems, and then help other people resolve the problem within 1 hour. 1 hour with 60 people coming into the congregation. You can probably liberate 30 of them. Each talk you'll be trained to open their eyes, awaken their eyes. That's it. I mean, you were obviously awakened during this talk. A lot of things were opening your eyes, right? I would hope so. Because if I'm not doing my job, then someone need to tell me. None of us opened our eyes, during this talk. So, does that make sense?
Yes.
That I think that you can be a great holy man. I think you can be a great religious leader.
Thank you.
You know, and that's why I'm sitting here this long to just emphasize that, and I just don't want you to ever forget that. And if you do fall off the wagon once in a while, it's okay. Just remember my words. You know, you can fall off the wagon 10 more times. You have those 10 passes. It'd be like that sometimes. People takes time to change. I don't expect you to change overnight. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But just remember my words, that somebody believed in you, and someone believes that you can in fact take my place. You know, I'm not getting any younger. It's tiring. I just told you how tiring it is traveling, and have you not opened up your I would have slept in the car. Oh yeah. See all them robes that we did laundry? What? Pillow right there. Just wake up, eat my Danish, haul butt. Okay, awesome. All right, if there's no more questions, I think that was a very comprehensive talk for you and for all. I'm gonna sit by to Papa, and Papa can go back to this recording. I gave him the opportunity to be present with us, so that he understands my plan for you. My plan for you. I think it would have brought joy to his ears, but we had to first address certain things in the beginning. But at this time, I'd like to conclude my public talk live on all platforms, as I'm going to head out to San Francisco. You know, I forgot. I equated San Diego for San Francisco. I did. And I was looking for the straight Francisco Bridge. And I'm like, why does the San Diego Bridge curvy? I don't remember seeing that on TV. Thank you all for joining and being one for listener. Until the very next time. Sorry I cannot answer questions because time's running out. I got a bi-weekly discussion in the next 4 hours. So you all can tune in when I have that. But I'm going to be limited in resources depending on where I have Wi-Fi. The bi-weekly discussion today is going to be on 7 factors of something, and I just glanced over it. So it's on my Facebook page if you want to go and read it. So non-stop agendas for all of us monks. Take care, folks. And I apologize if it sounded arrogant in the beginning, but this is a strategy and way of getting the student to understand the effectiveness of Buddhism incomparable to other forms that they are reading or comparing. I don't object people comparing religions and stuff like that, but not when there's like active suffering right now that has to do with one's health. And when that happens, I have to detain their mind with the right and sometimes aggressive information in order for them to get the point. That's I was just trying to get my point across.
Yeah, I know how it works.
Good. And sometimes it can come off like, oh God, I thought you monks were like humble. You sound arrogant today.